Thumbs up. We ready? Good afternoon. I am Scott Leary, United States Attorney for the Northern District of Mississippi. I want to first thank Chief McCutcheon. Thank you, sir. Oxford Police Department's the gold standard, and we recognize that. Mayor Tannehill, thank you for the facilities that you've made available during this operation. Working in Oxford is always a pleasure. I want to just take this time to talk to the press because we have a problem, and it's child exploitation. And it comes to us in different ways. But I want to tell you, we had an operation here last week, and when we talk about operations, we have goals, and this one substantially exceeded those goals. Now, is that the good news or is that the bad news? Ultimately, it's the good news because we have a problem. It's the bad news because of the degree of the problem that we have. Child exploitation rears its head in people that travel to exploit our children, and they are vulnerable. The internet makes them vulnerable, and this problem keeps exacerbating itself. I'm not being hyperbolic here. It's serious. We also have preferential sex offenders who target our children, and they're in positions of authority, and they prey on our kids. We have child sexual abuse materials that is trafficked on the internet. Each time it's trafficked, a child is victimized. We are not getting out in front of this right now. You understand that? We've now got artificial intelligence, and I will tell you that that's just as much of a crime as an actual depiction. That's what we're going to be faced with. When you commit a child exploitation offense, you must register with law enforcement. If you don't, that's a felony. We will hold you accountable in the state of Mississippi. Got it? Capiche? We will do that. Now, this is serious. We had an operation last week. I want to thank our partners because I've got to do this because people demand that state and federal law enforcement work together, and that's what happened in this case. So we've got the Northern District and the Southern District. I want to thank Baxter Kruger. He's here. He's the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi. We talk multiple times every week about this stuff. It's serious to us. We've got the Attorney General for the state of Mississippi. We talk. It's serious. We can't do this together. And so if there's a message to be sent, I would like for our citizens of this state to appreciate the problem that we have. We're very aggressive in my district. We've already convicted 32 people this year of these offenses. All right? 32. But I'm talking about doctors. I'm talking about kindergarten teachers. I'm talking about youth coordinators at churches. I'm talking about high school coaches. If a citizen sees something, they have got to say something. We need your help in these endeavors, right? Thank you for HSI, that's Homeland Security Investigations. They initiated this investigation. It was proactive, it was undercover. They brought people in from California to our fair state. They are pros, and we've got over 60 people arrested and counting, okay? And counting. Thank you to our local sheriffs that helped us in this. Thank you to DeSoto County. Thank you. Marshall County. Thank you. Forest County, Harrison County, Pearl River County. Thank you. Commissioner Tyndall with the Department of Public Safety couldn't make it today because he's doing the people's work. Thank you. Together, we can do this, but we need people's help, citizens' help. And so if you are suspicious, you can reach out to your law enforcement agencies. Local, you can call the state of Mississippi, the Attorney General's office. You can call HSI. You can call FBI. We will respond, and we will take it serious. We've got an excellent team of prosecutors here. We've got an excellent team of prosecutors in the South. We've got the best law enforcement in the country here. And I think the evidence of what you're seeing is a testimony to that. Right? So we're going to take this time and talk to you. We hope that the message gets out. We'll be open for questions at the end if anybody has any. I'm going to turn this over to Baxter Kruger, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi.
Thanks, partner. Just like Scott said, my name is Baxter Kruger. I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi, and I will iterate the thanks that he just passed out. We could not do or lead any of these operations or hold these people accountable without the partnerships that we have throughout federal, state, and local. We also need partnerships with our community. The see something, say something tagline that we've heard 1,000 times is real. We want you to remember that when you see these terrible crimes being committed. And I'll tell you, this operation was led by Homeland Security Investigations, ASAC, Matt Rydell will follow me, but it involved all of our state, federal, and local partners, whether it be police departments, sheriff's departments that he already spoke about, or our other federal folks, as well as DA's offices, the AG's office, and our 2 offices. This was a statewide effort. This is a huge deal. We did a lot together. So today's announcement reflects what we can accomplish when we work together. One mission: protecting Mississippi's children who are our future. Protecting them from exploitation is among the highest priorities in the Department of Justice, and as you can see here, the highest priorities in law enforcement across our state and nation. This operation was coordinated. It was a coordinated initiative. It involved undercover operations, sex offender compliance enforcement, and execution of federal search warrants targeting child exploitation. My office and Scott's office, as well as every other United States Attorney's office in this country, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office, among others, will continue to aggressively pursue and prosecute these individuals who produce, distribute, possess, or solicit child sexual abuse material, and those who attempt to exploit children online. Now, these offenses carry with them some serious weight, some of them up to life, most of them more than 20 years. This operation would not be possible without the level of remarkable collaboration between these agencies. And I just got to reflect that, Scott. Thank you all very much for including us in this and letting us be your partner. We do have some phenomenal prosecutors between our 2 offices, and they do the Lord's work every day. So let today's announcement and let this message be heard loud and clear. If you exploit a child, you traffic a child, or you prey on the most vulnerable among us, we'll use every lawful means available to find you, to prosecute you, and to have you sentenced to the toughest that the law allows. Thank you. I'll be followed by Assistant Special Agent in charge of HSI, Matt Rydell.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Rydell. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the state of Mississippi. Today, I'm proud to stand with our federal, state, and local partners to announce the results of Operation Muddy Waters, a coordinated law enforcement effort focused on protecting children and holding offenders accountable. Over the past 2 weeks, interagency teams conducted enforcement activity throughout the state of Mississippi including executing over a dozen search warrants, conducting undercover online investigations, and arrests of previously convicted sex offenders. The operation was made possible through strong partnerships with the Northern District and the Southern District of Mississippi, the Mississippi Attorney General's Office, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations, the U.S. Marshals Service, and multiple sheriff's offices, including Marshall, DeSoto, Harrison, Pearl River, Forest counties, as well as Oxford Police Department. In just 2 weeks, Operation Muddy Waters to date has resulted in 69 arrests for child exploitation offenses, the solicitation of minors, the possession and distribution of child sexual abuse material, and violations involving previously convicted sex offenders. The operation also generated dozens of new child exploitation investigations throughout the state. These include cases involving individuals who traveled across state lines to engage in sexual activity with minors, individuals involved in live streaming of child sexual abuse material, and individuals who downloaded and distributed child sexual abuse materials. Among those arrested, multiple illegal aliens who traveled across state lines to engage in sexual activity with minors, as well as individuals in positions of public trust who attempted to engage in sexual conduct with someone they believed to be a minor. During this operation, our interagency law enforcement teams seized dozens of electronic devices believed to contain evidence related to child exploitation offenses. HSI, in conjunction with the DHS Cyber Crime Center and the Mississippi Attorney General's Office, are utilizing computer forensic agents and analysts to examine those devices and develop evidence for prosecution. HSI conducts child exploitation investigations across the United States and across the world. These cases are complex, but our mission is clear: identify offenders, rescue victims, and work with prosecutors to bring those responsible to justice. Those who think they can hide behind a computer screen and exploit children are wrong. HSI and our partners will find you, investigate you, and hold you accountable. Operation Muddy Waters reflects HSI's unwavering commitment to protecting children, supporting victims, and strengthening public safety across Mississippi. Finally, I want to personally thank the men and women of Homeland Security Investigations and every agency standing before you today. The results of this operation reflect their long hours, professionalism, and dedication. Most of their work happens outside of the spotlight, but their impact is significant. They are the true heroes, and our community are safer because of their commitment and sacrifice. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to introduce the Attorney General, Ms. Lynn Finch.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. This is a very important time. Certainly thank you, U.S. Attorney Leary, U.S. Attorney Kruger, and Assistant Special in Charge, Rydell. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much for always being a part. But I want to say to every member of our law enforcement teams, every single member, thank you so much. You gave of yourself time and time again to make this operation so successful. And we are so grateful for the time, the commitment, the efforts, the dedication that you exhibited for this operation. You spent weeks looking for these predators. You spent time invested in finding these criminals. And that's why it's been such a successful operation. You went after them. As has been said before, some of these predators were hiding in plain sight. There's someone that you thought that you knew, and actually they're a criminal looking to leverage and take advantage of our children. The outstanding number of arrests are evident to show that the unity, the work together to find those children, to go after those predators. We are stronger when we work together, and it has certainly shown that through this operation, Muddy Waters. It's a collaboration always in any operation, but when our children are at risk, it's even more heartfelt to know that our children are being leveraged, our children are being jeopardized through these criminals, these pedophiles, these predators. So just those numbers that you gave are pretty amazing. We talked about earlier, they're going to change because we're still going after to make those arrests. We're still going to continue to find those criminals. And you think about dozens arrests already for child exploitation, all the sex offenders who are in non-compliance, all the over 50 devices that will be utilized to look through and see if there are others out there, those children that we can find, those criminals that we can find, and we are going to go after them hard and prosecute them to the letter of the law, because no one should ever do that to a child. And I want to talk about one specific instance that happened, and I'm again grateful for our law enforcement. But we have to talk about it. We have to be engaged. We have to be protective of our children. But our officers out there during this operation foiled at least one potential sextortion. That act of sextortion was stopped, and that saved that child of possibly going down that route, and maybe even countless others. But sextortion, here's what happened. They got the cyber tip, and our law enforcement sprung into action immediately. And remember, sextortion is a horrific situation for our children. They lure these children in. They take pictures. They say, if you don't send us the money, we're going to send these pictures out to your family, to your school, to your friends. And they leverage our children for money. But with our great law enforcement, as I said, they went into action immediately. They got there before the parents even knew what was happening to rescue this child who was now up against the dark internet. Again, to take advantage. And all of us in law enforcement know we've seen this. We now have a cause of action. We go after these predators. But just 3.5 years ago, we lost a young man in Mississippi in Starkville, Walker Montgomery. Bright young man, football player in Starkville. Just a great kid. Lost his life to sextortion. We cannot have another child in our state lose their life to this. So we have to continue to stand strong. We have to talk about it. We have to get it in the media. If you see something, hear something, you've got to let us know. That is our duty and our responsibility to protect these children. I'll tell you, his family, his dad in particular, Brian Montgomery, he goes out. He talks to schools and churches and organizations because knowledge is powerful, but we have to share it. We have to continue to know that our children are at risk, but that we are looking for those criminals. We are going to protect our children in the state of Mississippi. So these officers made a tremendous difference. That individual, that child, was saved from going down that route of sextortion. And it's the partnerships like this that show that everything we do is about working together, about being collaborative, about being unified. That's where we make a positive difference, and it's certainly shown through this. Our goal is to make Mississippi safer. And to do that, we have to make online safety a priority, because we know those predators are out there. We know that the social media cartel does not mind going after our kids. And we're going to continue to stand strong. We're going to protect these children every way that we can. Remember, not one child would like to be in this situation. Not one child wants to be in an exploited situation. Not one child wants to be in a sextortion situation. We need to let them know that they are loved and that they are valued and that we are going to stand strong to protect them. So, as been said before, every tip is important. You could be saving a life. You could be protecting a child. So please, always rise to the occasion and do that. And lastly, I'll say, on the social media, I need you to be a good partner. Social media, big tech, you need to stand up and be good corporate citizens. You need to be willing to help us in this endeavor to protect our children. You need to be willing to say, we're going to give you the information, or we see something that's happening involve your children. I don't need you to shy away. I need you to stand up for our kids. We're going to make big tech be accountable, but we sure would like for them to be a good partner. We'd like for them to get parental approval. We'd like for them to age verify that child before they're going down the dark web where these predators are waiting in line. So we're simply asking the social media platforms to be good corporate citizens. So I want to thank each of you for being here today. Again, every partner, thank you so very much for all that you've done. Because again, we made a difference. Lives were changed in this operation. And it sent a strong message that in Mississippi, we'll always fight for our children. Thank you, and may God bless you in all that you do. And next up, we'll have U.S. Marshal Danny McKittrick coming up.
Good afternoon. I'm Danny McKittrick. I'm the United States Marshal for the Northern District of Mississippi, and I'll be speaking on behalf of our district and for Mark Shepard in the Southern District of Mississippi. There are a lot of good people in this room, a lot of great power. I see my friend Rusty Raspberry over here, and all the people from the U.S. Attorney's Office. There's just a lot of great people in this room, and I think that's why we get great work done here, because we have a lot of great partners. Some of you probably don't understand the U.S. Marshal Service primary function is protection of the federal judiciary. But what our men and women really like to do is go out and serve warrants. That's what they're excited about. I think the Marshal Service last year nationwide closed somewhere around 70,000 active warrants. We have a fugitive task force here with the U.S. Marshal Service. It's also engaged. But when our men and women aren't in the court with the judges, they're out with every one of these agencies helping to serve the warrants. So this partnership that we've had for a long time is long-standing with the the Attorney General's office. The first cases, Ryan Berthay was coming in helping us on search computers back all those years ago. Now he's Iraq here in Oxford with FBI. So the Marshal Service is always going to be available to every agency, whether it's state, local, or federal, to help serve these warrants and get the most egregious offenders off of the street. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today, and thanks to all of our friends and partners over here. Oh, Chief McCutcheon, sorry.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for our media for covering this story. It's an honor to stand along so many outstanding federal, state, and local law enforcement professionals. If you look across this room, I don't see different uniforms, I don't see different agencies, but I see a team with one mission, and that is to protect the people that we serve. Today we celebrate over 60 arrests. That's an incredible number. But another incredible number is zero. 0 children were victimized by these individuals that were arrested because there was a team that chose to act before it was too late. Today is about celebrating the children who will never know they were protected. It's about the families who get another day together because dedicated men and women chose to work long hours, share information, and pursue those who seek to exploit the most vulnerable among us. To the investigators, analysts, prosecutors, task force members, and officers, thank you. Much of what you do happens in the shadows. The public rarely sees the countless hours, the planning, the emotional toll, or the sacrifices that your families make. But because of your commitment, children are safer today than they were yesterday. I want to thank Mayor Robin Tannehill, who is with us today, and our Board of Aldermen. Your investment in public safety goes far beyond equipment and technology. Mayor, your investment in people, training, partnerships, and services for those who have been harmed, those investments allow us to remain proactive. And that makes a difference in the lives of the people that we care about. I'd also like to thank our Emergency Management Director, Shane Fortner, for opening his facility to support this operation. Those investments allowed us to be able to work seamlessly, and a commitment to the partnerships that created an environment that allowed this to have a common purpose. Every parent deserves to know that when they tuck their child in at bed at night, there are professionals standing watch over their community. That responsibility is serious, and it's one that we can never take lightly. Our job is not to simply investigate crimes after children have been harmed, but it's our responsibility to prevent children from being harmed in the first place. That's exactly what operations like this are designed to do. I think you've heard it clearly today. If you choose to come to this state for any means to target, solicit, or exploit a child, know that there's not one single agency standing against you. There's a united partnership of law enforcement committed to identifying you, finding you, arresting you, and prosecuting you to the fullest extent of the law. Mississippi is not a place where predators will be safe. I think it's important to remind everyone that protecting children is not just a law enforcement responsibility. It's a community responsibility. It takes engaged parents, vigilant teachers, caring neighbors, responsible businesses, and trusted partnerships. When a community stands together, predators have few places to hide. At the Oxford Police Department, our mission is simple, and that's to serve with wisdom and compassion and to create a safe and connected community. This mission is reflected in every partnership you see represented here today. If today's work prevented even one child from being harmed, then every hour invested, every mile traveled, and every sacrifice that was made was well worth it. Thank you today. Thank you for covering the story. And we ask that God continue to bless the men and women that serve these communities and they put their lives on the line for protecting others. I know U.S. Attorney Leary mentioned, but if the media has questions, if you'll identify yourself, let us know who you want to speak with and ask your question, then we'll bring them up. Thank you.
I have a question. Martin Stawn with Fox 13. I'm not sure who to direct it to. It was mentioned about people in public trust are on the list of people who were arrested. Can you talk about give us some clarity about the positions that you're talking about that these individuals held?
Obviously it's difficult for us to talk about active investigations. It's operational.
Yeah, some of these investigations are still ongoing, so we don't want to necessarily reveal. But the types of positions that are common, I'll say, teachers, we had some folks involved in firemen and a few others, but these are still investigations that are still underway, so we don't really want to speak in detail about them.
So Operation Muddy Waters is still happening as we sit here today?
Yes. So as we sit here today, I'll tell you we had a few more arrests, and it's going to continue. As I mentioned, we had us in the Attorney General's office. We have well over dozens of investigations that we are working because of Operation Muddy Waters, right? Cases that we, started in on, maybe we did search warrants, maybe we're getting search warrants for phones or for residences. And so while we work to analyze that data and get the evidence we need, we'll continue to prosecute those folks that are accountable.
One quick follow-up question. It was mentioned about protecting kids from the dark web. For parents, how do I know my kids surfing on the dark web? How do they go from the regular, legitimate web and get sucked into the dark web? Is there any telltale sign?
So what I would say is that, this operation is evident that, parents need to talk with their children on a regular basis. They need to monitor what their children are doing online. I think there's far too many children out there that maybe are not monitored how they should be. So I think one of the reasons we wanted to do this was to bring these things to light, especially, with kids starting school and all that stuff, to make sure that parents are, monitoring what their kids are doing and making sure they're not traveling down roads that they don't need to travel down online.
I guess what I mean is, in terms of practical advice, if I'm looking at my child's search history and what they're looking at on the web, does the web address read different? How do you know the www or whatever that initial part in a web address is linking you to the dark web? Is there something that parents...
Well, you don't necessarily have to be on the dark web to be exploited, right?
Oh, God. Hang on a second. Parker. Yeah.
Parker loves to speak.
Yep. Parker's our child exploitation partner.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's our child exploitation prosecutor. He knows more.
So
If you look at my place.
reluctant witness here. The dark web is accessible on separate browsers, so you're not going to be able to just open the browser that's attached to or the Internet Explorer to see if a child has been on the dark web. That's a different browser. What our main point in Operation Muddy Waters is, it's not so much what the kids are doing. I understand that we want to help parents kind of navigate how to keep their children safe. But these adults that are using the dark web, that are soliciting these children, are the problem. And they're the ones that will be held accountable for their behavior. But the dark web is not, it is an intentional thing. You're not just going to find it. You're not just going to stumble onto it. It's not searchable like Google. So So for practical purposes, it's not going to be something that the parent, other than finding icons that look different, I mean, it's just the same as if you found a pack of pills in your kid's pocket. You'd have to kind of Google and see what it was, and that's, you know, the best help we can get there.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa Schnabel for Legal. Question, but also, if I understand this, it's more kids doing on Roblox and TikTok and Facebook and Twitter, and the predators are coming to those sites and then trading that stuff on the dark web, right? Is that more of a kind of a common how it's going on?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And again, you've seen us all as a united front, but certainly we see the predators out there. They're trying to get to our children. Again, for us in the state of Mississippi, we have the Walker-Montgomery Online Protection Act for our children. It is currently on appeal because the social media platforms did not want to be good corporate citizens. To your point, parents should always have the approval before our children can go to these different places. We should always have them age verify our children, because our children do not need to be allowed to go into these different sites. And certainly they should be ready to mitigate any damages if they cause harm to our children. It is currently on appeal. We've argued it in the Fifth Circuit. It's great law that our legislators passed. I feel like it's going to stand strong. I feel like the social media platforms will appeal it again and will be in front of the United States Supreme Court. But we have to be strong for our kids. So to your point about these different opportunities like the Roblox, and so know that in this office we've sued a number of them. But I will tell you that we just did a settlement with Roblox. And it was very much along exactly what we're requiring by our state law. So that parents have control. Parents can determine the notification. There'll be no nighttime notifications going to your children at all. Parents determine what type they can see, what kind of information they can see. The parents are in charge of the different avenues that will be presented in Roblox. We are currently certainly in lawsuits with a number of different ones because we're going to protect our kids at all levels.
Thank you. And will there be a release of the names of the 60 people? And I don't know if Jeff can, how many of those might be from Oxford or Lafayette?
Yeah, I think we've released some. I don't know if Breck has pushed some of those out, but I think there'll be probably an official release at some once all the operation is over, and then that's done. I think again there's still some out there that they're finishing up their investigation on.
Understand this. The child predators are pros. They are good at what they do. And our kids are not defenseless, but they are vulnerable because they know what they're doing, speaking of the predators. That's why eternal vigilance is now the course we have to take.
Brian Carter, Fox 13. I was wanting to know if we can get the information of those live streaming platforms that were being used for the child exploitation to help parents to get the news out of what platforms they need to look out for, so those live streaming actions can be prevented in that way as well.
Matt or Baxter?
Real quick, what I'll tell you is they're using all of them. You need to know, if you're a parent, what type of equipment your children are using, what type of devices they have, and all the things that are on those devices. I mean, what I just thought about was, I've got young children. I just saw the movie Toy Story 5. In that there's a scene where there's an evil device. And there's children that are bullying other children through the chat, right? If you can communicate with anybody outside of your home or outside of a closed circle, you are vulnerable in that circle. So the message to parents is pretty simple. Know what your kids have and ensure that they don't have something that you don't know about. Have those open and honest conversations with them, and also verify. Make sure they don't have a device that you don't have access to. Learn a few things. There's YouTube, there's all these other avenues that you can go down. You start talking about devices and lists of things, there's federal agencies from the Secret Service, HSI, FBI, you name it, that will provide you with a long list of all of these crimes that are being committed on multiple different platforms. But what it's about is accessibility. And when a child gets online or goes and gets onto a program that we don't understand, then we turn our heads away from it, we ignore it, and that's where they become the most vulnerable. Because we can't do anything to protect our kids on something that we don't understand and that we cannot control. I'll give it back to you, Scott.
Yeah. At the end of towards the end of the investigation, at the end of the investigation, we will make that information available.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Caitlin Barker with WREG News Channel 3. I wanted to know, how long do you all expect this operation to last? It's continuous.
Matt.
So the operation, there'll be a point when the quote-unquote operation stops, but that doesn't mean the investigations will stop, right? So some of the cases that we've uncovered and are working now could continue a year from now. It depends on the investigation, right? So it's hard to give you a timeline on that because the operation will turn to investigations.
And I would say this, within the U.S. Marshals Service, we have people who are monitoring non-compliance for registration. We have a deputy. Those cases never stop. They're being investigated 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So the non-compliance part of it, if you're supposed to be a registered sex offender and you are not registered or failed to register, those cases are being worked all the time, and there were several of those involved in this investigation. But that never stops. That's 7 days a week.
Thank you.
You understand if a sexual predator's phone is seized and we obtain access to that phone, that can lead in a number of general directions, which can take a while to investigate. Right.
Is
Yes,
that
sir.
what you, sorry, is that what you meant when you said that other investigations were born out of Operation Muddy Waters? And I apologize to all of you for my tardiness. I didn't hear how this operation started. Did it start with Oxford PD and then spread to this partnership? Or was it a concerted effort? Let's get these guys.
Yeah, concerted effort, Matt. Just
Yeah, it was a
explain how
concerted effort between all the agencies you see today, and it was basically a way to fully collaborate with all the different agencies you hear today and to focus together, because a lot of times we all run in our own different lanes. So, prior to this operation, it took months of planning, obviously, targeting analysts, a lot of background work to get to this point. But this operation was basically a concerted effort amongst all the agencies here to say, hey, during this time frame, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going for, this is what we're trying to do, and this is what we're focusing on, and that's what we did, and it's been a great success. So.
And with coordination with the Attorney General and the state, it started in the Northern District, moved to the middle, and went to the south. So it was a concerted effort, and we moved through the state of Mississippi. Does that make sense?
It does.
And it takes, and you can imagine the planning that takes place to bring in outside investigators to house them as this operation is implemented.
How many people would you say, just ballpark, are part of that operation if you had to put a number on it?
Oh, we had dozens of people involved. We had over a dozen that traveled in from out of state. Yes, sir.
Brian Pryor, Fox 13. I wanted to ask, out of those people that y'all captured, are those people who have already had a history of doing this, or are these like newfound individuals?
All over the spectrum. Majority had a criminal history in this arena, but all over the spectrum. Okay, thank you. Oh, yes.
I just wanted to mention something. I'm with Public Affairs for HSI. We do a lot of outreach and education. I know a couple of y'all had questions about internet safety, especially for parents, teachers, youth groups. HSI and especially also the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force does a lot of education and outreach for parents and teachers and school groups and church groups. So feel free if y'all want to, if that's something you guys are interested in and y'all want to know more about that aspect of internet safety, then you can come get with me after and we can give you more information to schedule something at a later date. I know it's alarming as a parent that these people are doing these things online, but as they said that if the app has a chat feature, then it's dangerous, okay? And so it's just very important if you see an app you don't recognize on your children's phone, Google it, do some research. But I just wanted to reiterate what they all said, and that this was a operation focused more on the offenders. So if you do want to be more proactive on educating your children, then y'all can come speak to me after, and we can get you more information on that. Thanks.
Thank you.